First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
30 years ago today, the Space Shuttle Challenger blew up shortly after liftoff. Tonight, we take a look back and see how it's being commemorated.
And many parts of the state have seen severe weather this month, including 7 tornadoes. But how are we looking locally? I've been keeping my eye on the sky, and I'll let you know what to expect coming up.
We have an investigative process for all use of force, and it works.
The sheriff of Marion County spoke today about the former deputy now facing civil rights charges. That's our top story tonight. Good evening. It's Thursday, January 28th. I'm Connor Ingalls.
And I'm Marie Edinger. Thanks for joining us. Yesterday, we showed you the surveillance and body camera footage that appears to show 5 deputies using excessive force. And today, Sheriff Chris Blair held a press conference to address the incident and the indictment of one of the 5. WUFT's James Torres was at the press conference. James, what Sheriff Blair have to say?
Well, he wanted to send a strong message, and a message that says that this type of law enforcement will not be tolerated in his department. And of course, Sheriff Blair wasn't the only one we heard from today on the matter. Jesse Terrell's lawyer also responded to our calls for comment, saying his client's actions were justified.
The Marion County Sheriff's Office has no tolerance for this type of behavior.
That's the message Sheriff Chris Blair wants to get across to the community. Former Marion County Deputy Jesse Terrell was indicted yesterday for the actions you see here.
Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Stop resisting!
He was one of 5 deputies involved in the arrest of Derek Price in August of 2014. The other 4 men resigned and pled guilty to federal charges. Terrell refused to resign and was instead terminated.
The others chose to resign because they were guilty, and they knew they were guilty. But my client's not guilty of this.
Holloman says he's tried to negotiate with the Department of Justice, but he is convinced this matter will have to be resolved in court. Sheriff Blair says he's confident the use of excessive force in this instance does not indicate a bigger problem with brutality within the agency.
Well, I don't have any reason to believe that at this point. I just say this, and I'll leave you with this, that anything that comes forward, we certainly will take a hard look at it, and it will be handled.
Now, Derek Price will be represented in court by Michael Barrett and Kevin Cork in court. Jesse Terrell will be present at a federal hearing in Tampa next Thursday.
Thanks, James. The Gainesville Police Department held a town hall meeting last night to discuss a host of issues in the city. The primary concern of the night, GPD's reorganization. The decision to reorganize GPD's administration was made following a series of internal issues, including theft and sexual harassment. Chief Jones announced the department will be adding a second major to serve as inspector of the agency and manager of internal affairs. GPD will also consolidate its personnel unit within the city's Human Resources Division.
And this is just phase 1. I can assure you that there will be some more changes within the police department as we move forward in this year.
Violent crimes, including rape, robbery, and homicide, were discussed as well. In the last 3 years, reported rapes increased from 68 to 102 and then 115. But officers say the increase comes from actively seeking out rape victims. Robberies also increased in 2015. There were 232 reported, and officers made an arrest in 220 of those cases. Officers say community awareness is an important part of reducing crime.
Now, today was about as ugly as it gets. I think the mist was so thick at some times that I felt drenched, even if it wasn't actually raining. Yeah, you said it yesterday, not the prettiest day out. UF forecaster Amanda Hawley joins us now from the Weather Center to tell us where the rain is now.
Well, light to moderate showers have finally made an appearance on Storm Track radar this afternoon. We're not expecting as much rainfall as we originally forecasted earlier in the week, but certainly some moderate shower activity down in Ocala right now. A line of heavier showers making its way through Alachua County and through Stark, but not too much other than that is going on. I'm not forecasting any more thunderstorms for the rest of tonight. In fact, just a large area of moisture in the Gulf of Mexico has finally developed, and it will continue to make its way onshore through around 10 p.m. tonight. Then we're going to start to dry out. The clouds are going to start to clear out, and much cooler and much drier air will start to filter into north central Florida by your Friday morning. Now, coming up, I'll tell you just how good this weather will get and just how long this cooler weather will last. Back to you.
Thanks, Amanda. Everyone's phones all went off at the same time today. An Amber Alert has been issued by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for 2 children missing since early this morning in St. Petersburg. Police believe a 4- and 5-year-old were taken by their mother in a gray 2009 Nissan Altima with Florida tag number CPP-Z14, heading north, possibly out of the state. If you have any information, call 911.
The University of Florida salary battle is finally over.
The UF Board of Trustees has sided with administrators on the faculty pay hike. WUFT's Kirsty Crawford was at the board meeting today.
UF's Board of Trustees voted unanimously on a 2.5% increase, denying faculty members the increase they had been fighting for months. The United Faculty of Florida lost the board today when their pay rate increase was denied. UFF officials had asked for a 2.5% across-the-board increase and an additional 2.5% merit pool.
11% keeps being mentioned as the raises we have received over 3 years. First of all, some people didn't receive any, since there were no across-the-board increases. Secondly, that figure is a phony.
UF administrators argued there aren't enough funds to meet the UFF pay hike requests on a recurring basis. UFF disagreed. The union wanted UF to dip into its reserve funds. The Board of Trustees ultimately agreed UF does not have the funds. Board members say the money in the reserve is set aside for renovations and repairs.
But we don't have those funds, so we only keep our little bit of reserves that we have for when something like that happens, because there is no funding for that.
Faculty members expressed frustration with the decision, and some said they felt underappreciated.
We hope you really do value the teaching that our faculty do.
But union officials say they expect most faculty members will stay at the university despite receiving a smaller raise than they believe they deserve. Board members and administrators blame Governor Rick Scott in part for the problem. They say they cannot increase salaries more because Governor Rick Scott won't let them raise tuition rates.
All right, thank you, Kirsty. Grace Marketplace and Dignity Village have cut off their clients' Wi-Fi access. WUFT's Ariane Ganwuya joins us live from the newsroom. Ariane, what sparked this?
Well, Marie, some of the people staying at the shelter were actually downloading illegal movies that would have resulted in fines for the facility.
Illegal downloads led Grace Marketplace to quickly pull the plug on Wi-Fi for its shelter residents and campers at Dignity Village. Recently, someone snuck in a router, and that too has been shut off.
We had Wi-Fi originally set up so that it was available for our residents and the residents of Dignity Village. However, we kept getting complaints from our provider that people were illegally downloading movies and things, and because of that, we shut off the Wi-Fi.
Computer access is controlled now. The homeless shelter was worried about fines and being responsible for anything downloaded.
Grace Marketplace employees say although the Wi-Fi is cut off, residents are more than welcome to use the computers in this computer lab, as well as the Alachua County Public Library.
We provide a computer lab from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week that people can use for job searches or to connect with family or friends and to basically do any of the things that they would need to do.
Some of the clients told us the computer room is one of their favorite places, a place to read and work. Grace is hoping to renovate one building on campus as a classroom.
The shelter operator would like to provide Wi-Fi again, but Grace does not have any IT support or IT staff. The hope is someone in the community with that expertise might donate gear and time and keep things running right. Ariane Ganwuya, WUFT News.
Thank you, Ariane. Memorial services were held across the country and even in space today to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Challenger disaster. What was supposed to be a standard shuttle launch turned into tragedy after the shuttle Challenger exploded while carrying 7 astronauts into space. NASA held a memorial service at Cape Canaveral and paid special tribute to Krista McAuliffe, who was supposed to be the first teacher in space. There was also a tribute from astronauts on NASA's current mission, the crew on the International Space Station.
Just take a moment of silence and recognize the sacrifice of all those crew members and how their spirit and their legacy lives on in our achievement in space.
After the disaster, NASA's space program was grounded for months during the investigation. WUFT News First at 5 is just getting started. Coming up, it looked like a disaster at UF Health today, but it was all according to plan. What the hospital was doing and why, right after the break.
Plus, the CDC is concerned about Lyme disease and says North Central Florida should pay attention. We'll have more on that in our health news segment coming up.
And if you don't like this cold, rainy, misty weather that we've seen over the past couple of days, I've got some good news. Warmer weather is on the way. I can't wait to show you my 6th day coming up after the break.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. UF Health conducted an emergency medical response exercise today.
Volunteers put on full makeup and simulated their pain. WUFT's Stephanie Byrne joins us now live in the newsroom. Stephanie, why did UF Health hold this exercise today?
Well, Marie and Connor, UF Health holds this exercise at least twice a year. The exercise is to ensure preparedness in the event of a disaster. What looks to be a disaster scene is actually a training exercise. UF Health paramedics and nurses practiced responding to an accident involving mass casualties. Imagine this, an airliner headed for Gainesville hits migrating birds near Paynes Prairie, loses an engine, crash lands on I-75, and hits 2 vans and a school bus.
This is a real world scenario. You know, you never know when a plane is going to burn in somewhere and in a rural area, and all of a sudden this little small town hospital all of a sudden has 200 casualties. Go. Now what do we do?
The volunteer patients wore special effects makeup to illustrate the full spectrum of injuries, from aches and pains to head wounds and impalement.
We're just going to be the patients. We're going to listen to how it goes down, and this is the first time running on like a rescue call, so we're going to get the whole layout.
Another volunteer, a military vet, is preparing to get recertified as an emergency medic.
I retired in '99, so yeah, we had some neat stuff. I was primarily infantry, but they cross-trained me as a medic. So when the medic got hit, someone had to take care of him. That ended up being me.
For the drill, first responders came to the scene to assess, treat, and take patients to UF Health by ambulance.
I think that it'll help us be even more well prepared if this type of incident ever were to occur.
Everyone here agrees.
You have to be ready for what if.
Between the fake patients, real nurses, real paramedics, and everyone else, more than 100 people were involved in today's exercise. Stephanie Byrne, WUFT News.
Yikes, they did a pretty good job on that makeup. Thank you, Stephanie. And let's hope those preparation drills aren't ever actually needed.
Yeah, some serious visuals there, but worry not. WFT's Health Beat reporter Sarah Kimbrough joins us now to keep us healthy and safe with all the latest health news.
Don't worry, I'll keep you guys in good health, but the CDC has some news that will keep us in North Central Florida on the lookout. The CDC says a kind of tick that can spread Lyme disease can now be found in nearly half the counties in the United States, including Alachua County. Ticks can thrive in forest and brush areas such as Paynes Prairie or San Velasco Hammock. Since 2010, Florida has seen a 34% rise in reporting cases of Lyme disease. Common symptoms include a rash, extreme fatigue, and joint pain, but the disease can lead to much worse.
The biggest effect for me was mental health.
If caught in the early stages, it can be treated with antibiotics. 30,000 cases of Lyme disease are reported to the CDC each year, but the agency believes a lot occur, as many as 300,000 a year. The World Health Organization says the Zika virus is, quote, spreading explosively around the Americas, and there's no treatment or vaccine. When it comes to battling the Zika virus, some scientists are working to fight mosquitoes with mosquitoes. At the Oxitec labs, the mosquitoes have been genetically modified to produce offspring that die before growing into mature adults. Only male mosquitoes are introduced into the wild.
I just wanted to show you the males, because we only release the males as they don't bite.
Oh, okay.
It's actually the female mosquitoes which bite and the problem, because they transmit the disease.
Okay.
Once the genetically modified male mates with the female, he passes on the deadly gene that's spread to the larva. The larvae are then unable to grow into adults. For tracking purposes, they also glow in the dark. So far, that tracking shows promising results. One study conducted in El Dorado, Brazil, showed an 82% reduction in mosquito larvae. Scientists warn the spread of Zika could spiral into a global pandemic. Who would have thought the key to stopping it could be a glowing mutant mosquito? University of Florida researchers have been experimenting with an electronic portal to improve communication between teen patients and their doctors. The findings published in the Journal of Adolescent Health show teens respond well to this approach.
Dr. Lindsay Thompson has 20 years of experience in general pediatrics. She describes the importance of confidentiality, which is a cornerstone of care for teens.
We've had a parent listening in, or if you use the telephone, a parent saying that they were the child, trying to understand what was going on, what they thought was behind their backs, but that's a legally defensible position to be in.
The online portal solved a lot of those problems through personal messaging. This is a unique opportunity for teenagers to have direct access to their healthcare provider to ask questions or make appointments.
Family planning or risk of sexually transmitted infections are great opportunities to have this avenue without parental involvement. But it also can be for anything. It could be, I've got a wart on my toe, what do I do?
Having direct access to physicians helps prepare adolescents for managing their health care as adults.
So if we can teach them how to ask questions, when to access the medical field, we will give them tools to ready themselves by the time they're 18.
Fitbit is one of the hottest fitness trackers on the market. In the previous story, Dr. Thompson was wearing the bracelet that tracks your steps and in some cases your heart rate. But does the Fitbit really work? This month, Fitbit was hit with a class action lawsuit alleging fraud. According to the suit, 2 of the company's heart rate monitors don't accurately measure your heart rate, and that could be potentially dangerous, especially for people looking to push their heart rates past a certain mark. And now Amanda will tell us about the weather.
Well, we've got showers on radar right now, and showers have finally made an appearance. We were expecting a little bit more at the beginning of the week. However, it hasn't been as much as we have originally expected. You can see here on Storm Track radar there is a swath of heavier showers down in Marion County right now. But no thunderstorms are still expected, and this rain really spreads across the entire state of Florida, all the way as far south as Tampa and Sarasota over there, and through Orlando, some heavier showers. The misty conditions Marie was talking about earlier, those showers are actually going to replace these misty conditions. I don't like them either, and it definitely felt misty and gross out there. So there's the rain right now on Storm Track radar that I just showed you, and I think this rain is going to continue all the way up until 10 p.m. tonight. Then we're really going to start to clear out by 1 o'clock. The clouds will actually have cleared out as well. We'll have a northwest wind starting to filter in a much drier and cooler air mass into north central Florida. And by the time you walk out the door on your Friday morning, it's going to feel much cooler out there. Hitting 48 degrees by 2 a.m. Temperatures not falling very much until the clouds really start to filter out after 1 a.m. We're going to hit 41 for an overall night low tonight, 41 in Gainesville, 44 out in St. Augustine. And there will be a little bit of a wind chill as well, as those northwest winds will be around 5 to 10 miles per hour, making it feel about 5 degrees colder than it actually will be. And now I want to talk about my 3 big things. This is a brief cool down, yes, but it's not going to last long. Brief is the word. Saturday morning is the last time that we're really going to see cooler temperatures until next week, and we could actually see some frost form on your Saturday morning as well. Here in the UF Weather Center, though, we do have spring fever. We're going to have the warmest temperatures of the year so far by Tuesday. I can't wait to show you Tuesday's high. We'll get to that in just a minute, though. After Tuesday, though, we do have a weak cold front on the way. I'm already forecasting thunderstorms could be possible as that front moves through. But for your Friday afternoon, you're going to feel it out there. It's going to be noticeably cooler, 63 degrees for a high, but it's also going to be noticeably sunnier out there with no clouds in the sky. That cool breeze will continue through the afternoon. By your Saturday morning, that's when we could see that patchy frost form with temperatures in the upper 30s and a little bit of leftover moisture out there, just enough for that patchy frost to form during the morning hours. If you're up in the afternoon, though, you're not even going to notice it was there because it's going to be a nice afternoon. Check it out. This is what's overhead right now. We've got a cold front making its way through, and it will finally push through towards the end of tonight, and that's when that rain will be making its way out. But check out the jet stream. We're going to have a more zonal flow, and by next Tuesday, ahead of this next cold front, we're going to have southwest winds. It's going to bring us some much warmer weather for the next 6 days, really, until that front makes its way through the area. But notice this front is not as strong as the previous ones have been. That dip in the jet stream, much less larger, much less smaller than the previous ones have been. But check it out. Here's the 6-day. I really want to show you it. Saturday, 67 degrees for a high. Sunday, 71 degrees for a high. No rain in the forecast for the weekend. Here's the rain, though. 80 degrees for a high on Tuesday. And that's when that next cold front will make its way through the area by next Wednesday. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Amanda. The Florida women's basketball team is coming off a road loss at Missouri.
That's right. Florida didn't have its best showing on Sunday, but the team could get back on track tonight. WFT sports anchor Ryan Nelson joins us now.
That's right, guys. The Florida women's basketball team came into January riding a 12-game win streak, but the new year hasn't been as kind to the Florida Gators. They're just 4-3 in 2016. Florida could pick up their 5th win of the new year as soon as tonight. I'll give you all the details you need, and more sports is next. It's been an up and down season for the Florida women's basketball team. Welcome back to sports. I'm Ryan Nelson. Going into January, the Gators were streaking. Not so much anymore. Florida was beaten handedly on the road at Missouri on Sunday, but it hasn't been all doom and gloom for the Gators. Florida has had quality wins over Tennessee and trounced the Ole Miss Rebels on the road. Now the Gators hit the road to take on the Arkansas Razorbacks tonight. Gator fans may recognize a familiar face on the Arkansas bench. Former ESPN sportscaster Jimmy Dykes is now the head coach at Arkansas. The Gators are 24-9 in the all-time series with the Razorbacks, but the Gators haven't won a game at Bud Walton Arena since January 2010, back when James Cameron's Avatar was the #1 movie at the box office. UF leads the conference in steals and rebounding and ranks only 2nd in scoring. Florida head coach Amanda Butler knows her team is going to have to play well to get a win in the SEC. Tip-off is set for 8 p.m. tonight. Well, speaking of the Razorbacks, the Arkansas men's basketball team made some noise heard around the country last night in Bud Walton Arena. The Texas A&M Aggies came into town as the #5 team in the country and undefeated in the SEC. Let's take a look at the scene in Little Rock last night. The Aggies did some gigging, but it was all pig suey early in this one. Jabril Durham says, pass it back, and splash. He gets all 3 of these, 8-4 Razorbacks. The Aggies go to work. How about an alley-oop to the Flying House? He eats it up. Both teams traded leads all night long. Second half, Arkansas pulls up for 3. Dan Wellhouse bringing the house down again. House shot 80% from the arc. 2.5 minutes left in the game. Arkansas up by 3 when Dusty Hannes heaves up the desperation 3. No good. Texas A&M falls on the road at Arkansas. They lose 74-71. The Florida gymnastics team has kept up their dominant ways under new head coach Jenny Rowland. The Gators are #1 in the country and undefeated. Florida won comfortably over UCLA and Auburn. The Gators have had a tough road to 3-0, and it doesn't get any easier. Florida hosts the 5th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide tomorrow night in the O-Dome. This is Florida's 3rd straight meet versus the team that advanced in the NCAA championships, and 2nd straight meet with the team over the 2015 Super 16. Alabama leads all-time series 71-38. The Gators are led by senior All-American Bridget Sloan, and Sloan said it's important to be loose.
And I think my whole team should know that these routines aren't a struggle anymore. It's not like it's a labor to get through everything. We go out there and we know we can do it. So as long as we just do what we've been training, I think it'll be great.
The meet starts tomorrow at 6:45. Well, high school boys soccer action is in full swing, and there's a full slate of games tonight. The Buchholz Bobcats are traveling to Spruce Creek to take on the Hawks. This is Buchholz's first regional since 2013. Also, GHS is hosting Pensacola, Washington for the first time ever between the two schools. The Mount Dora Hurricanes are in Keystone tonight. They're in their 3rd straight regional. And lastly, Eastside is hosting Daytona Beach for the 2-3A quarterfinal. The Rams are in their 9th state playoff in 10 years. Eastside head coach Ron Messick says postseason play brings its challenges.
It's the first round, so it's a little difficult when you don't really know a lot about team. So we'll just go out there and do what we do well, and I think if we do that, we'll be okay.
All games kick off at 7 p.m. Well, the Florida women's tennis team came out strong in their first dual meet of the season. Florida finished with an impressive 6-1 win at Rings Tennis Complex. Anna Danilita and Brianna Morgan swept USF duo Vera Besanova and Juliana Cardosa 6-0. Spencer Lang and Peggy Porter won their match by a score of 6-2, and the 5th-ranked team of Brooke Austin and Courtney Keegan cleaned up doubles play with a 6-4 win over Jessica Chavez and Olga Martinez. All Gators, Belinda Woolcock, Courtney Keegan, Josie Coleman, Anna Danilina, and Spencer Lang all won their singles matchups on Wednesday. The Gators face the Seminoles next Thursday in Tallahassee. And Connor Murray. In some news around the SEC, former quarterback Matty Mock of the Missouri Tigers was released today. The school is saying that he just had some personal problems over the past month or so.
Yeah, it's sad to see misconduct like that, but I'm glad that the team isn't just letting it slide. They're taking action, so it's definitely good to see that.
Yeah, and with Mock, you hope he can take care of those personal issues and then maybe down the road get back on a football field somewhere. Thanks, Ryan. And lastly, tonight, one local man is living his dream on the streets of Gainesville.
If you frequent the northwest part of town, you probably recognize Rafael Torres, DJ Raffy as he's known, entertains drivers by rapping and dancing. But a while back, he was attacked by a driver. He returned to his roots a short time later and is now better than ever. He's currently working for Liberty Tax, getting paid to do what he does best.
I love it, man. I get to do what I want to do, and I get to get paid to do it.
Torres says he started at Liberty about 3 weeks ago, and that's great to see.
I love that. That's my man out there. Love seeing him around town.
All right, before we go, let's get one last check on the weather.
Here's Amanda.
It'll be a soggy commute out there with heavier showers down in Marion County, but no thunderstorms expected over the next 6 hours or so. Rain chances will taper off by 10 o'clock tonight, and temperatures will fall to around 41 degrees by the time you walk out the door on your Friday morning. Warming up, though, through Tuesday, 80 degrees for a Tuesday high. Then in next week's front will bring rain chances back up on Wednesday. Back to you.
Thanks, Amanda. We'll be back tomorrow at 5, but your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org.
Here on WUFT TV, BBC World News is up next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7 o'clock. Have a good night.